The United Nations estimates that drought brought on by the effects of climate change could displace as many as 700 million people by the end of this decade. This is no more acutely being felt than in southern Madagascar, where years of failed rains has left hundreds of thousands of people staring down the barrel of what the UN is calling the world's first climate change famine.
In Germany and Belgium earlier this summer, torrential rain saw towns and villages rapidly flooded, sweeping away lives and homes in seconds.
With the death toll still rising in New Orleans after Hurricane Ida struck with its full force on Sunday, and 50,000 people evacuated from parts of Northern California because of a massive forest fire this week, America is feeling the full wrath of extreme climate-related events.
I've lived in New York for 40 some odd years, and obviously things are changing. And I love South Lake Tahoe, and we're seeing that burn down right now too. So the whole West is in big trouble with. Wouldn't it be great if we could take all this rain and put it into California, for crying out loud, right?
It all points to one thing, says President Biden.
The past few days of Hurricane Ida and the wildfires in the West and the unprecedented flash floods in New York and New Jersey is yet another reminder that these extreme storms and the climate crisis are here.
A crisis on multiple fronts.
As the tail end of what was Hurricane Ida dumped record-breaking rainfall.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It was stuck.
The National Weather Service declared the city's first ever flash flood emergency. Many could hardly believe what they were seeing.
For the first time in recorded history, the National Weather Service issuing a flash flood emergency for all 5 boroughs of New York City. More than 7 inches of rain in just a few hours.
After unprecedented storms left at least 50 people dead.
Look at that tornado!
The warnings had been there. The storm was coming. But there was little that could be done to protect from Ida's wrath. New Jersey is not tornado territory.
It seems now to be so devastatingly regular, yet more extreme weather. Multiple states of emergency declared, records broken again.
Turning major roads into rivers and stranding cars and lorries.
It is a similar story in Philadelphia, with water as far as the eye can see, engulfing communities.
But it wasn't just the volume of water, it was the speed it came. Highways overwhelmed in minutes. And the railways too. This was the New York City subway, flooding on a level which left people stunned.
9 people are dead here in New York City from last night's biblical rains and the flash floods they created.
In New York City alone, an entire month's worth of rain came down in just 2 hours.
We are moving into uncharted territory here with climate change. The climate that we've been living in is not going to be the climate that we are living in right now, nor over the next decades.
An intense rainstorm in Spain has led to severe flooding.
Streets were turned to torrents, with a powerful stream of water swallowing up cars, furniture and trees.
An intense rainstorm which swept everything in its path, including these cars and these outdoor chairs. The flash floods hit the Spanish town of Alcanar, located about 200 kilometers south of Barcelona, on Wednesday.
It's the latest in a series of major floods across Europe this summer, and scientists warn weather events will continue to become more extreme.
The number of weather-related disasters has increased 5-fold in the past 50 years. That's according to the World Meteorological Organization. On average, an event linked to weather, climate or water hazard has killed 115 people every day since 1970.
Ida has transformed streets into waterways, trapping some residents in the worst affected parts of Louisiana.
The astonishing and rapidly intensifying power of Hurricane Ida, which slammed into Louisiana just a few days ago, fueled by an unusually warm ocean. And on America's west coast, wildfires burn with increasing ferocity and frequency.
When fires get this hot, this intense, they're very hard to stop. And this fire is headed straight for a Californian beauty spot. Wow! Over the past few days, residents of South Lake Tahoe have looked on in horror as the Calder fire got closer and closer to their homes.
This is the worst I've seen it for 32 years.
Much of what happens now depends on wind direction and fire intensity. A state of emergency has been announced here. If the area were to be engulfed, it would represent some of the most large-scale destruction from US forest fires in modern times.